Hi, it's Bonnie with So Inspired by Bonnie with another Tuesday's tip. I'm going to go over to the computer, as I always do, to make sure that everybody's here. So I'll refresh my computer's page. I hope everybody's having a great week so far. We just got back and it's been a little busy, let me tell you. I know everybody can relate. It seems like everybody's really busy these days. Okay, I can see me, but I'm not moving on my page, so I know there's about a 10-second lag. So once you're here, go ahead and give me a shout, maybe a like or some love, so that I know you're here. Today we're going to talk about wing needles and how you might be able to use those in embroidery. Hi Elizabeth, hi Carol, I see a couple of you are showing up. As I mentioned, today we're going to talk about wing needles and how you might be able to use those with embroidery. Now, wing needles started out as a specialty needle for heirloom sewing, so that you can use them with, you know, your regular sewing side of your sewing and embroidery machine. Oh, hi Mitzi! But then we started using that same wing needle for embroidery. Now I know they come in two sizes, they might come in a couple more, but what I have in front of me is a 120 by 19, which is the biggest one I have, and the 100 by 16. The bigger the number, the larger the needle. The larger the needle, the larger the hole it's going to punch in your fabric. And I'm going to try to get this over there where you can see what a wing needle looks like. I have to do this backwards so that the wording comes up right. So if I go the wrong direction, that's why I'm doing everything mirror image. As I turn this needle, you can see that it's got kind of a thin side and then what I call a fat side. It's what they have, like little wings that come out on the sides of this needle. It's not just a real thin needle, it's actually gets fat along it. And what that does is when it pierces through the fabric, it actually makes a hole. It separates out the fibers and creates a hole in your fabric, which sounds like, why on earth would we want a hole in our fabric? Well, it just creates that little delicate opening that you see sometimes with different techniques. Again, as I said, it originated from heirloom type sewing, and we started using it over in embroidery. Here's an example of some wing needlework and what it does. If I can show that I have my hand behind it, in the background of the butterfly you will see just some tiny little delicate holes. It just adds a little flair. It's a decorative stitch, and it adds a little dimension to the embroidery that you don't see everywhere. So this one, the butterfly designs that I have, these are called the wing needle butterfly designs. Unfortunately, this little dish towel got dirty over here in my travels and I haven't had time to clean it yet, but I did these more of a tone on tone kind of style, a little bit more heirloomy than what the designs themselves, you know, have color with them. You know, but you can do them with a bunch of color. You can do them tone on tone. I've seen them done in all white to give that heirloom effect. It's really pretty versatile what you can do with them. So what a wing needle is, again, is a specialty needle that has kind of like a wing on its sides that will pierce a hole into the fabric with a decorative type stitch. Now, if you're using the regular sewing machine side, you'll want a decorative stitch that has a forward-backward motion into the same spot, not one that just does like a serpentine running straight down. It needs to come back and forth into the same spot to create that hole. The types of fabrics that work best with this would be your 100% cottons, linens. I did that on just plain old cotton, which doesn't open it up as well as a nice crisp linen will do. The linens seem to do the best. So just as a footnote there, I have seen them done. A dealer over in Plano here in Texas did it on a knit dress that she had. She had it up at the top on her knit dress, and I'm like, whoa, I've always been told you never ever do wing needlework on a knit or a synthetic type fabric, because I was concerned that it would cut through the fiber and make a run. But she said it worked great. I haven't tried it, but just to let you know, it's fun to kind of try things outside of the comfort zone just to experiment and see what happens. And she had done it on an interlock knit dress, so I didn't think it would work, but she swore by it. So just to let you know, some people push the envelope just as bad as I do. Okay, so how do we use this wing needle in our sewing machines or for embroidery? It works the same way how you insert them. I'm going to go ahead and take my standard 1175 needle out that I use for embroidery. And all needles have a flat side and a round side. You're going to take and put the flat side to the back of your machine. So I have my index finger on the flat side, and then you're going to put it in like you do any other machine. I like to kind of, if I can, use my fingernail and kind of push up on the tip ever so slightly just to make sure it's all the way up. Now before you start sewing with this wing needle, because they are expensive, they only come one to a package, and I think they're about $5 or so for just one needle. So you want to make sure that it's in there properly and doesn't do anything to damage your bobbin race or case down below. So what you always do before you start sewing or before you hit the start button is you turn the hand wheel one full rotation towards you. If it goes up and down without any resistance, any problem, it's fine. You're good to go and you can start sewing. If it clunks, you know, when you're turning it by hand and it just stops, you know that the needle is not all the way up. So go ahead and loosen the screw. Make sure that that needle is all the way up. And again, I like to get my fingernail just under the tip there a little bit and make sure that it's all the way up. That's really important. Okay, so on wing needles, do you need special designs? Well, on these butterflies, yes. The short answer is yes. You need a specialty design or a special design created specifically for wing needle work. On these wing needle butterflies, for example, only the background uses the wing needle. The rest of the design uses your standard embroidery needle. I like to use an 1175. It's a thin needle, you know, it's the finest needle, so it doesn't make the biggest holes. It's just what I prefer. So yes, only one section of this design uses the wing needle. The whole design is not done with the wing needle, because you'd have, you know, holes all over, and it wouldn't look good where you have a standard fill, for example. You want it only where your color chart will tell you where to put it. Our color charts give instructions on how to do it. I put the tip in there about the hand wheel so that you are reminded that you need to turn that hand wheel towards you. Always, always turn the hand wheel towards you, never away from you when you're turning that hand wheel on your embroidery machine. You're going to use a water-soluble stabilizer because you don't want the stabilizer to stay on the back of that wing needle work. You want those holes to be light and airy and you can see them. So I like to use the same type of water-soluble that you can hardly see me. I'm way back here behind all this stuff. The same water soluble that I use for lace, and that's this, the fabric looking kind is the type of water soluble that I like to use. Now, I didn't know about this when I did these designs a few years back. I didn't know about this type of stabilizer, and I think it would work equally well. This is, let me get it out of the bag, this is the heat away stabilizer. This melts away with the heat of the iron, and it looks like the other kind of water soluble, but this will not dissolve in water. This is a heat away, and it melts away with your iron, and that would work, I think, equally well on the back of the design. So you have a couple of options there for your stabilizers. And you're only, like I said, you're going to do the one section of the design with the wing needle, and on these designs is the very first step, and then you're going to change to your regular needle and finish it out. Now sometimes people think, well, my goodness, how on earth does this work? It seems like that needle being so wide would get in the way with, you know, going from side to side. A lot of people don't realize this, and I didn't at first. When you're doing embroidery, did you know that the needle is only going straight up and down? It never moves from side to side. The only thing that's moving is your hoop. So when you're doing a zigzag stitch or a decorative stitch or a fill stitch or a straight stitch, it's all the same in embroidery mode on your machine, because all the machine is doing is going up and down. What's happening is the arm is moving from side to side or up and down to create those different stitches. We're so used to, with standard sewing, that the needle is moving from side to side and back and forth making a decorative stitch, that it kind of blew my mind that, oh, with embroidery it's totally the opposite. It's the arm that's moving and the needle isn't moving at all. It's just doing a straight stitch as far as it's concerned. And as a little tidbit, my dealer many years ago, when he told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so fascinating. I just never thought about it. And he said, yeah, he said, so in essence, when you do a lot of embroidery, that's actually less wear and tear on your machine than if you did a lot of sewing with a lot of different types of stitches. He said that actually tests your machine a lot more with the zigzags and, you know, the forward and backward motion. That is more taxing on your machine than embroidery. And he goes, embroidery is the easiest thing you can do on your machine because it's just straight up and down stitching. I thought that was kind of fun. So anyway, I'm going to come over here to the computer and see if we have any questions. I think wing needlework in embroidery is a lot of fun. I think it's just kind of neat to do something different. I get bored of doing the same thing all the time, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same way as me. My mom used to say she could never do the same thing twice. When they were doing costumes, she would have a lot of difficulty following the pattern to make it exactly the same as everybody else. And I think sewists by nature are kind of like that. We don't like to do a bunch of repetitive stuff. So I kind of like to try new things, and wing needlework is something you don't see every day. It is a lot of fun to try something new. Let me go ahead and move this machine out of the way. Okay, I'm back. And I'm just going to look here and see if we have any questions. And if we don't, that's fine. If we do, give me a shout. Okay. Oh, Carol just asked a question. She asked, what is the name of the design set that we just that I just showed? This is called the wing needle butterflies, and that is on our website, sewinspiredbybonnie.com. And yep, that's what it is, wing needle butterflies. I hope you guys will sign up for our newsletter, because I forgot to mention that in the beginning. We have a newsletter that we send out reminders of the Facebook Lives, and special sales or new design releases, or things that are going on with our glitter flex. So I hope you'll, and sometimes I throw in a freebie every now and again too for our newsletter subscribers. I actually give you two freebies when you sign up for the newsletter, so it's worth it just to get the 2 freebies. But let's go back and see if we have any other questions. What brand, Kathleen says, what brand of water soluble do I use? I'm kind of funny with stabilizers. I get most of my stabilizers from the Embroidery store. It's an online store. Many years ago I was told that there really are truly only 2 manufacturers of stabilizer. So even though it's kind of like car tires, there's a lot of different brands out there, but they just put their own name on it. So kind of bear that in mind, that when you're out there shopping for stabilizer. But I do like the Embroidery store. They seem to have some really good prices. So if you're in the market, you just Google them, and they have some good prices. I love their King Star metallic thread. I swear by that, because I really like their metallic thread. I know everybody, you hear it from everybody, oh, we have the best metallic thread, but we've done lace designs with that metallic with that metallic thread and not have breaks with it. So it's good stuff. It seems to be more pliable. But I got off onto the farm to market road. Let's see. Sally asked me what type of thread do I use. I did a video on thread usage and what types of thread I use. Gosh, it's been a few weeks now in the past, but I did do a segment on threads. I used to use just about every thread out there. I really don't have a big problem with thread. You have to watch it how they are wound on your spools, and that will dictate how they should come off of the machine. I know a lot of people have trouble. They'll put the thread on the wrong direction and then it will twist on itself and break or shred. Most thread issues, because there's a lot of good brands of thread out there today, most thread issues are there's a burr somewhere along the path, a burr on the needle, or maybe it's just threaded incorrectly. But I do right now. The latest thread I've used Exquisite, I've used Poly X, I've used Isacord, Madeira. But right now I'm using the Floriani because I am a designer. I need to stick with one brand of thread so that the thread chart you can convert over. But I've used a lot of different, I've used Marathon, I've used a lot of different types of thread. So you might check back on that segment that I did about thread and you'll get some tips there if you're having any thread issues. Yes, I did start at 11 Central Time. Right now it's 11:20. KJ, what is your first name? I always see KJ and I don't know, is it Kathy? I'm not sure. But yes, I did start at 11 Central Time and it's now 11:20. So let's see. Sally asked a really good question. She said, where is my newsletter? You can sign up. I don't have my newsletter online anywhere specifically, but you can go to www.soinspiredbybonnie.com, and up in the top left there's this little spot where you can sign up for our newsletter and it'll start coming to you. Just that easy. And you'll get those 2 freebies I mentioned too. Let's see, I'm going to refresh my page because I think my computer has locked up and not rolling over the comments. And I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, I think that's all of the questions we have right now. If If you do have some questions and I didn't get to you, or if you think of something after the fact, please let me know. You can put it in the comments section, and I do keep up with the comments, and I will answer your question later on, even after we're no longer live. Also, I will post this video on my YouTube channel, and I will also post it on my Pinterest page. So for those of you that don't do Facebook, it will be available. So if you have a friend that just refuses to do Facebook, it will be on those other two channels for you to look at. So be sure to like and comment on the video here, and also be sure to share this with your friends if you have somebody that you think might be interested in wing needlework. So I think that will cover it for now, and I hope to see you next Tuesday, and I hope you have a great week. Bye bye for now.